Welcome back to Northwest Elite Spirit, the channel you come to train your mind, body, and spirit. I'm Coach Brian. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, do that now and make sure to ring the notification bell to stay up to date on all of my newest releases. This is Emotional Vampires from Encounters with the Nagual, Conversations with Carlos Castaneda by Armando Torres, from the chapter Predators of Awareness. My conversations with Carlos were not resumed until several years had passed. On that occasion, at one of his informal meetings, Carlos brought up an entirely new and frightening concept, which gave rise to the group's most passionate controversies. He said, "Man is a magical being. He has the same capacity to fly into the universe as any one of the millions of awarenesses that exist. But at some point in his history, he lost his freedom. Now his mind is no longer his own. It is an implant." Carlos claimed that human beings are hostages to a group of cosmic entities who are devoted predators and whom sorcerers call flyers. He said this had been a very secret topic among the ancient seers, but due to an omen, he had realized that the time had come to disclose it. The omen was a picture taken by his friend Tony, a Christian Buddhist. In it appeared the sharply outlined figure of a dark and ominous creature floating above a multitude of the faithful gathered among the pyramids of Teotihuacan. Carlos said, "My cohorts and I decided that it is time to let reveal our true situation as social beings, even at the cost of all the distrust that this information may generate in the public." When I had the opportunity, I asked Carlos to tell me more about the flyers, and he told me one of the most terrifying aspects of Don Juan's world. He said that we are prisoners of beings who came from the confines of the universe, and that they use us as casually as we use chickens. He explained, saying, "The portion of the universe accessible to us is within the operative field of two radically different kinds of awareness. One type of awareness, which includes plants and animals and also human beings, is a whitish awareness. It is young and a generator of energy. The other awareness is an infinitely older and more parasitic awareness, and is the possessor of an immense quantity of knowledge. Besides men and other organic beings that inhabit this earth, there is in our universe an immense range of inorganic entities. They are present among us, and occasionally they are visible. We call them ghosts or apparitions. One of these species, which seers describe as enormous black flying shapes, arrived here at some point from the depths of cosmos and found an oasis of awareness in our world. They have specialized in milking us." I exclaimed, "That is incredible." Carlos continued saying, "I know, but it is the pure and terrifying truth. Have you never wondered about people's energetic and emotional ups and downs? It is the predator who shows up periodically to pick up his quota of awareness. They only leave enough so that we may continue living, and sometimes not even that." I asked, "What do you mean?" Carlos replied, "Sometimes they take too much, and the person becomes gravely ill and may even die." I could not believe what I was hearing. I asked, "Do you mean we are being eaten alive?" Carlos smiled and said, "Well, they do not literally eat us. What they do is a vibratory transfer. Awareness is energy, and the flyers can align with ours. Since by nature the predators are always hungry, and we, on the other hand, exude light, the result of that alignment can be described as energy robbery." I asked, "But why do they do it?" Carlos said, "Because on the cosmic plane, energy is the most powerful of currencies. We all want it, and we humans are a vital race, stuffed with nourishment. Every living being eats other beings, and the most powerful always comes out the winner. Who said man is at the top of the food chain? That idea could only have come from a human being. To inorganic beings, we are the prey." I commented that it was inconceivable to me that entities that are even more aware than us could be predatory to that extent. Carlos replied, "But what do you think you are doing when you eat a lettuce or a beef stick? You are eating life. Your sensibility is hypocritical. Cosmic predators are no more and no less cruel than we are. When a stronger race consumes another inferior one, that is helping the stronger one's energy evolve. I've already told you that in the universe there is only war. The confrontations of men are a reflection of what happens out there. It is normal for one species to try to consume another. A warrior does not complain about that and tries to survive." I asked, "And how do they consume us?" Carlos answered, "Through our emotions that are constantly directed by our internal dialogue. The flyers have designed our social environment in such a way that we are constantly shooting off waves of emotions which are immediately absorbed. Best of all, they like our attacks of ego. For them, that is an exquisite mouthful. Such emotions are the same anywhere in the universe where they occur, and the predators have learned how to metabolize them. Some consume us for our lust, anger, or fear. Others prefer more delicate feelings like love or fondness. But these emotions are all after the same thing. Normally they attack us around the area of the head, heart, or stomach, where we store the thickest part of our energy. I asked Carlos, "Do they attack animals too?" He said, "These creatures use everything that is available, but they prefer organized awareness. They drain animals and plants in the part of their attention that is not too fixed. They can even attack other inorganic beings, but when they can see them, they generally avoid them like we avoid mosquitoes. The only beings who are completely trapped by the flyers are human beings." I asked, "How is it possible that all this is happening without us realizing it?" Carlos answered, "Because we inherit the exchange with those beings almost like a genetic condition, and it feels natural to us. When someone is born, the mother offers the child like food without realizing it because her mind is also controlled. Baptizing the child is like signing an agreement. Starting from there, she devotes herself to install acceptable behavior patterns. She tames the child, reduces its warring side, and transforms it into a meek sheep. When a boy has sufficient energy to reject that imposition, but not enough to enter the path of the warrior, he becomes a rebel or socially maladjusted. The flyer's advantage stems from the difference between our levels of awareness. They're very powerful and vast entities. The idea that we have of them is equivalent to the one an ant will have for us. However, their presence is painful, and you can measure it in various ways, as, for example, when they provoke us into attacks of rationality or distrust, or when we are tempted to violate our own decisions. Lunatics can detect them very easily, too easily, I would say, since they feel physically how these beings settle on their shoulders and generate paranoia. Suicide is the stamp of flyers because the flyer's mind is potentially homicidal. I asked Carlos, "You say that it is an exchange, but what do we gain from such plunder?" He said, "In exchange for our energy, the flyers have given us our mind, our attachments, our ego. For them, we are not their slaves, but kind of salaried workers. They bestowed these privileges on a primitive race and gave us the gift of thinking, which made us evolve. Indeed, they have civilized us. If not for them, we would still be hiding in caves or making nests on treetops. The flyers control us through our traditions and customs. They are the masters of religion, the creators of history. We hear their voice on the radio, and we read their ideas in the newspapers. They manage all of our means of information and our belief systems. Their strategy is magnificent. For example, if there was an honest man who spoke of love and freedom, they have transformed it into self-pity and servility. They do it with everyone, even with Naguals. For that reason, the work of a sorcerer is solitary. For millennia, flyers have concocted plans to collectivize us. There was a time when they became so shameless that they were even seen in public, and people made representations of them in stone. Those were dark times when they were everywhere. But now their strategy has become so intelligent that we do not even know they exist. In the past, they hooked us through our credulity, and today through our materialism. They are responsible for modern man's ambition not to have to think for himself, and just observe how long somebody will tolerate silence. I asked, why the change in their strategy? Carlos said, because at this time they are running a great risk. Humanity is in very quick and in constant contact, and information can reach anyone. Either they must fill our heads, bombarding us day and night with all kinds of suggestions, or there will be some who will realize and warn the others. I asked what would happen if we were able to repel those entities. Carlos answered, in 1 week we would recover our vitality and we would be shining again. But as normal human beings, we cannot think about that possibility because it would imply our going against all that is socially acceptable. Fortunately, though, sorcerers have one weapon: discipline. A sorcerer's encounters with organic beings happens gradually. In the beginning, we do not notice them, but an apprentice begins to see them in his dreams, and then while he is awake. That is something that can drive him crazy if he does not learn how to act as a warrior. Once he understands, he can confront them. Sorcerers manipulate the foreign installation in their minds and turn into energy hunters. It is for that purpose my cohorts and I have designed tensegrity exercises for the masses. They have the virtue of liberating us from the flyer's mind. In this sense, sorcerers are opportunists. They take advantage of the push they have been given and say to their captors, "Thanks for everything. See you later. The agreement you made was with my ancestors and not with me." When recapitulating their lives, warriors are literally snatching the food out of the flyer's mouth. It is like going to the store and returning a product to the shopkeeper, demanding your money back. The inorganic beings do not like it, but they cannot do anything about it. Our advantage is that we are dispensable. There is a lot of food around. A warrior's position of total alertness, which is nothing but discipline, creates conditions in our attention such that we do not taste good anymore to those beings. In that case, they turn away and leave us in peace.